Thanks, guys, for that first carrier update. We'll have a couple more coming up over our 2-hour show this morning. Right now, we've got our first live guest of the day talking to Mark Solomon all about what's going on in the world of warehousing. Mark, thank you for joining us this morning on FreightWaves Now.
Good morning, Kaylee. How are you?
Doing pretty good. So first things first, we want to talk about what's going on with Teamsters and Amazon. Me and Andrew Cox brought you the news from your story on Friday, just a quick little summation of what was going on. Talk to us about how Teamsters is working to kind of give these Amazon workers some representation.
Okay. The Teamsters held their their 5-year convention. They held it virtually this year, and they adopted a resolution that creates what's called the Amazon Project. And the project effectively states that Amazon is taking advantage of workers, they're taking advantage of the system that they play in, and it's time to effectively organize the company. It clearly will be a challenge. Amazon defeated the retail, wholesale, and department store union back in April decisively. They wanted to organize in Bessemer, Alabama. That didn't work. However, the RWDSU has 59,000 members. The Teamsters have 1.4 million. Teamsters have the resources, the experience. They are more knowledgeable in transportation and warehousing, organizing, and it's something they plan to do. There's also fertile ground to organize a very large segment of the working population, which is warehouse workers.
And Teamsters was pretty rough on Amazon when they kind of gave them their evaluation, saying that they were paid really inhumane, just like not great working conditions. Mark, can you tell us a little bit more about what Teamsters wants to change?
Everything. The Teamsters believe that Amazon is a terrible employer, a terrible company, but they also acknowledge that Amazon is redefining the way we work, and they will continue to do that. There's basically everything that the Teamsters are looking for is something that Amazon will fight against. Amazon is staunchly non-union. Jeff Bezos does not believe in the relevance of a third-party bargaining unit. If the Teamsters are serious about this, and again, what we're talking about now is a resolution, it's going to be a Donnybrook.
So, Mark, of course, there's only one Amazon, but with this situation, do you see this potentially setting a tone or other targets for other major e-commerce players in the game?
At this point, Anthony, it's hard to say. Amazon dominates the landscape. There are no other e-commerce companies that are the target of organized labor in the way Amazon is. It's hard to imagine any other e-commerce company having the clout to justify a major effort on the part of the Teamsters. Keep in mind, the Teamsters want to create a separate Amazon division. They have an airline division, a port division, a small package division, which is almost all UPS, a truck division, a freight division, excuse me. They want to create a separate division that is focused entirely on organizing Amazon workers. And it's not just warehouse workers. The drivers are non-union. The Teamsters may go after the drivers as well. It's at this point, there's a lot of speculation because it's only a resolution. The Teamsters have not taken any concrete steps, at least publicly, to put Amazon on notice that they're going after them.
Right. And so let's move on to your second story of the day, Mark. We've heard a lot about FedEx in the news lately, and they recently made a comment saying they're having a really hard time sourcing their labor, and not just labor in general, but qualified warehouse workers. Talk to us about this comment from FedEx and kind of what it means in the scope of overall labor shortages.
Okay. Last week, FedEx released their fiscal 2021 fourth quarter and full year results. They were excellent, as most expected. But the commentary on the analyst call was tilted dramatically towards the challenges the company faces in finding workers for their FedEx ground operation. It's growing quite dramatically. You're going to see continued spikes leading into peak season, which is not that far away. And but the company is just having trouble finding good people, and it's not going to abate. They were clear that the situation is not going to turn around in the next couple of weeks, and they may be facing this scarcity of labor heading into the holiday season. The equity market reacted quite negatively. And again, it's a problem for everybody right now. It's not just FedEx, but FedEx was very vocal about the challenges it faces. And I think the response is going to be you have to pay people more. And to pay people more, FedEx will probably have to raise rates and impose surcharges that will be passed on to customers. UPS did it last week in a very significant way. They've already posted their peak holiday surcharges quite early for them. And FedEx will most likely follow suit in a similar manner.
Mark, usually, like you said, it only usually takes one, then others follow suit. We see these raised wages really kind of putting upward pressure on further consumers downstream. We're also seeing other hosts of issues. Can you talk a little bit more about sales and inventory levels going on right now in the warehouse?
The inventory levels are very, very low, Anthony. I was on a conference call last week where a supply chain consultant said that retailers have about 30 days of inventory to work with. It's a 1-to-1 ratio, as he described it, which is an all-time low. And that's good news for companies like FedEx, which operate fast cycle B2B networks. At the same time, it's going to be difficult for retailers to fill orders because they only have a certain amount of product on hand. And at this point, there doesn't seem to be any change in the inventory to sales ratio, of meaningful change. There may be some change as the year progresses, but at 1-to-1 right now, it's as cupboard as bare as you can find.
That's right. And so, Mark, with these levels being at such record lows, we just heard from Zach Strickland not too long ago saying that we just have to take things week to week now. We're in still some unpredictable times, but are there any trends that you're watching that you can anticipate kind of going into the following quarter?
Well, the biggest trend in parcel delivery, which is becoming a very critical component to the country's supply chain, is the geographic expansion of regional carriers that would focus on specific regions, serve them well. As FedEx and UPS raise rates and put caps on what are called enterprise customers, these customers need capacity. They're turning increasingly to regional carriers. Regional carriers, in response, are beginning to expand their geographies. We've seen that with a company called Lone Star Overnight. They've expanded into the Midwest. They're primarily a Southwest carrier. And that happened in the last 7 to 10 days. A company called Lasership, who's based in Vienna, Virginia, primarily an East Coast carrier, is beginning to make its move into the Midwest. And it's not just a geographic expansion, Anthony, state to state. It's deepening their footprints in the states that they're already in. They are needed. FedEx and UPS will make things very difficult for enterprise customers heading into the peak season. They are focused on the small to medium business segment. Those are high margin customers that don't really have the clout, the volume clout, to negotiate favorable rates. Both companies have made it clear that that's their priority, and the enterprise customers are, I guess, less of a priority. So, but still, these are big shippers that need capacity to get goods to the shelves. and it's going to be a challenge for the regional carriers to accommodate them. They're used to a certain level of service from FedEx and UPS. They are expecting a similar type of service, and in peak season, you don't have margin for error. People want their stuff. If they don't get it, they have long memories. And
That's
it's the
exactly right.
retailer that will suffer, because it's the retailer who is the throat to choke on the part of the consumer.
Mark, thank you so much for joining us for our top story today. We'll be sure to keep up with you in the coming weeks as this develops.